If you'd like to try painting initials on canvas, here are some ideas to help make it a little bit easier. Canvas is bumpy for oil pastel, so you have to apply everything thicker. And if you're doing initials, you want to fill your space. Sometimes it's easier to just sketch out the letters you want first, which is what I did here. And then I use the black oil pastel to trace around it in kind of a flexible, large, exaggerated way. It can be pointy, it can be rounded, whatever works for you. It's nice if the letters overlap, and if you use the space to fill it as much as possible. I'm using large oil pastels because I want to apply as much pastel as possible while I work. So I'm first going to outline, and then you think about colors to go inside that are going to work well together. In the other letter here, I used shades of red, and I applied some white down the middle to try to get a bubbly effect. And you notice how the letters are overlapped here so that they are connected and filling the space and crowding it as much as possible. So what I did was start with a darker tone first, and I'm following it very heavily around the outside. This is an art form where you can be a little bit looser, a little bit more jagged in your stroke work here on the lettering, because you're trying to get a graffiti effect here, so it can be a little bit more haphazard and arbitrary. So here I've followed the shape of the letters, but leaving a little bit in the middle. I might add a little bit of that very, very lightly. And then I think about what is a brighter and lighter step from what I've just used. So let's try some orange here and fill it in. And you can see how that bounces out a little bit more than the color that I just used. I like this one too because it's a little bit fluorescent when you use it. So it has kind of a spray paint quality about it. And you notice you can choose to leave your stroke work very streaky and rough and raw like that. You can choose to blend it with your fingers. I kind of like what I have there, but I watch for places where the canvas is showing so I can apply a little bit more, paint it in. And if I see places where instead of a glow it looks like a stripe where the colors are separate, I can use my finger to kind of transition the dark and light colors. I'll use my pinky to smooth the black. It's smaller, it's easier to control, so when I'm doing edging, I'll use my smaller finger. Trying to get this to be, instead of stripes of color, a smooth transition from darker to brighter. You can see in the background I did kind of the same thing, a scribbly application of one color, the blue, and I added some white on top of it. Even down the center here, I may choose to emphasize the color a little bit more by working in a little bit of white, following the shape of the letter I've drawn, maybe working in a little bit of yellow. See if that will warm up the color in the center a little bit more. And you know, with initials you can add different embellishments, stars or pattern in the background. If I like that yellow, I may add some to the other letter. And you can see I can push hard enough for the yellow to stand out in bits of color. You can choose to blend it in if you want a more subtle effect. So there's an example of how you can get very rich, smoothly blended tones in putting initials on a canvas.